Hey everybody, Radamon here for another episode of Stellaris. So last episode, just a very quick recap, we got in some Cold Wars, and we're obviously going to have to ramp up our military to deal with them. Yay! So just if I look at the diplomatic mode here, these two guys are not exactly war partners, or war enemies, rather. Partners? I don't know. But they obviously don't like me. We're rivaling each other. So if I look at the rep, it's funny enough, I guess they have mutual rivals. Who are they rivaled with? They are rivaled with... they're rivaled with each other as well. So everyone hates everyone. Huzzah! This is like the opposite of the UN. Well, at least I know they're not going to team up on me, so that part is good. Okay, so I have a new tradition. Let's take a look. Specialist output would be nice, but building speed and cost would also be nice. That leads to housing districts, city districts. I'm going to do specialist output. That focuses on the output I'm creating right now, not the potential output of future jobs. And I need output right now. Now, speaking of jobs, we are building a research lab, but as you can see here through the icon, we have an unemployed person, whatever, sector of population.
Upscaling complete.
Once the research labs are done, that will employ 2 more people, but we are going to need to add more jobs and more housing to this, our main
Research
colony.
actualized.
All right. I'll manage that soon. All right. So our ship just colonized Settlebari. And I think what I'm going to do is I probably won't add another territory ever. I know, crazy, right? But I think we're done with adding territories. So instead, I'm going to put a starport at Euralion and start grabbing that beautiful trade. Meaning this ship in the fleet needs to return home. It doesn't. I don't really care what it does. Checking to make sure I don't have any piracy, and I don't. Actually, I have some piracy. So if you look at the trade incoming, as you can see, I'm losing a little bit due to pirates in Chor's Compass. Now, they are a new addition to Le Guin MegaCorp, where basically they're a casino, and you can pay them money to either open reliquaries, which are kind of like, let's call them loot boxes, because it's gambling, or you can literally roll the slots. And there's a new achievement linked to the reliquaries as well. Nanite transmitter, I'm not going to need for a long time. Let's go ahead and get destroyers. We are, of course, in Cold War. We should probably make sure that we're not going to get squished by our neighbors. Alright, so our researcher that does all of the research just finished the last available anomaly that we had. I'm going to have him go assist research at Dram. Now, if I look at my planets, let's look at the research production. My home planet is producing, well, let's wait 1 second.
Complete.
All right. Now that we have more jobs, I went from 24 to 39. Now, the implications of this, let me try to explain a little deeper, is population growth gives you an enormous edge early on. An enormous edge. Actually, I would say an imbalanced edge. Only because, I use those words only because at the moment, there's a lot of things in the game, late game, that are supposed to give you benefit, like the megastructure, if I scroll all the way down here. The, what is it called? The Science Nexus? But the Science Nexus is almost worthless now because of how much research you can generate effortlessly. So, why are we generating research here? I'm kind of confused as to why we're even generating Let's check the population. Oh, we have a dimensional portal researcher. Okay, okay. I understand now. That's a unique feature of this planet. If we look at here, we have a dimensional portal. So we start off with one job, and every 40 population we get another job, so it scales up. Sabtrack doesn't actually have a researcher yet. We are still doing assist research, which is obviously worthless, but eventually we'll add some research there. And then likewise, Dorfil here doesn't have any research jobs. So the assist research here, let's see, is one of those percentages, an extra 14% in there. Yep, there it is. I can't point because I would do that literally with my hands, but you guys can't see what I'm pointing
Research
to.
actualized.
And I won't do that. All right, so we are starting to research, or not starting, we are continuing to research weapon tech so that we're not taken advantage of. Another thing to note is that the maximum amount of resources you have is kind of lower than it was before. Pre 2.2, it was a lot higher, but now you'll actually have to add resource hubs and the like if you want to stockpile them. We're going to have to make some consumer goods to satisfy that need. Now, looking at our colonies, Dram, for instance, has no room for additional people. Housing is 0. So I just queued up a city district. And I need to kind of stay ahead of that because jobless and homeless people add to crime, and crime will lower the productivity of the planet. So the quick overview here is stability is like happiness. It's sort of a happiness trait. There is some happiness. So if we look at... Excuse me, you're interrupting. If we look at the pawns, 71% happy for the rulers, 66% happy for the specialists, and robots aren't happy because these are robots and not synths. But then the miners are 61% happy. Overall, because of high stability, because of how happy they are, and the fact that we have amenities. Actually, we don't have a lot of amenities. That's another thing that I'm going to have to add to my base really soon. Okay. Commercial pact is broken with those guys. You suck, but that's fine. I get more influence as a result. We research the tile blocker. So here is a building that decreases the crime if we need it. Now, it's best to just not have crime in the first place, and that's actually, I'm going to pick that because planetary capitals are really powerful research. But looking at the other ones, you know, the removing dangerous wildlife will be useful later on. All right, anomaly, go ahead and research it, sure. So they broke it because I am rivals with their allies. They are currently allied with Galactora, and I'm rivaled with them. So I'm just going to rival these guys. I'm going to make a 3-way Cold War. Obviously, taking out Galactora and whatever they are called, Malwegal, is going to be a lot more challenging because there's 2 of them to take on. But you know what? I'm up for the task. And that grants me a lot of extra influence that I can throw around for various things. All right, and they reveled me back. That's nice. Let's go ahead and take a look at our research here. We probably can make the ships a little bit better than they were before. So let's think about this. The kinetics do shield damage, and then the plasma throwers do hull and armor. So that's probably a pretty good mix for now. And then the afterburners increase evasion and actually make the ships physically faster to move about. So that's pretty good as well. And I'm going to get these ships rolling out. So Aurelion, or whatever we want to call it, is now grabbing the trade from itself, and it will grab the trade from the neighbor soon. And then this other... For the other slot in the base, I'm going to do a gun turret ship thing, whatever you want to call it. And that will protect the trade a little bit. Now, the trade might get encroached upon around Rathador or something, so I might need another... Ooh, I exceeded my starbase, so the upkeep went up. I'll pay that as an idiot tax for now. That's my bad. What does this grant run up? Okay, I'm going to do... The Numistic Visualization is something I bought off of the Caravaneers, and that's going to lower my consumer goods upkeep, which is this stuff, which is good. Increase statecraft research, and increase monthly energy credits, which is good. The statecraft research is not always useful. Like right now, I'm doing non-statecrafty things, but sometimes that's going to come in play. Sometimes not. So we got to make sure now that we have multiple enemies gunning for us that we stay ahead in ship fleet size comparatively. And I have, not that I would advise you to do it, but I've obviously picked a bunch of fights. Mostly out of boredom, if I'm being honest. But I picked a bunch of fights, and that should be interesting. Another thing I can do is to try to get my first branch office open. I need about 300 more energy, or 285 more energy credits to open that up. Now with the minerals, the extra minerals, I ought to create city districts. And fortunately for me, this governor I have right here lowers the cost of a city district because he has architectural interest.
Upscaling complete.
Alright, so Dram has their city district, and as you can see, my housing now is has some free housing.
Outlier identified.
Governor Urshna just got another trait. Oh, environmental blocker. That's can be good.
Upscaling complete.
Alright, so if we look at the trade path, I protect it up to 5, and piracy can only go up to 1, so we're good there. And that's true for most of the path. A lot of the trade is... There's not going to be a lot of trade coming from this arm. Most of the trade that is distant from my capital is going to be coming from Dorfil, because Dorfil is going to generate some real cash once it sort of evolves bigger. And as a result, I really have to protect the trade in this arm, which means I might need to station a fleet at Chor's Compass, because that will keep the piracy down. Alternatively to a city district,
Outlier identified.
I could have also added agriculture to that planet. If I was so inclined. Both adds housing. The agricultural district will only add 2 housing, whereas the city district adds more. And the city district can actually be further urbanized to add additional if you unlock it through research. Now, as you can see here, Dram, let me pause, just hit a milestone. So they hit 10 pop, and I can upgrade the capital from a reassembled ship shelter to the planetary administration. So let's go ahead and do that. And that also locks another slot here, which I can put towards specialized jobs. So I have a scientist out here, a surveyor, who is just trying to grab as much research as they can, which is great. we'll be able to add to our research pool. Someone inquired about this sector here. Non-aggression pact. No. I'm going to do this alone. This sector I can't survey because it's behind this wormhole, I suspect. That was a question that someone had for me. So who, these guys? One of the non-aggression pact? I appreciate their enthusiasm. Their xenophilic enthusiasm.
Upscaling complete.
All right. Galactic and Naval, these two guys just signed a migration treaty. They're probably not going to renege on their alliance with one another. The more pacts and stuff you sign, the far less likely you are to renege on them. All right, I definitely have had enough energy credits for a while now to open a branch office. So let's go ahead and establish one. And then we have to decide what we want out of this branch office. So now we have the branch office, we get free trade value. If you look, it will take a month to kick in. There we go, 8.48 energy credits generated from just having a branch office, which is right here. But then with additional minerals, we can add something else to the branch office. So we could add an amusement megaplex, which will produce additional, or a fast food chain. This is a really good way to supplement your economy in a way. So like, for instance, I am lacking consumer goods. So I could put in a virtual entertainment studio and supplement my own consumer goods because I'm bleeding them out right now. So what I'm going to do is buy some energy, or buy some minerals rather,
complete.
and go back to my trade hub, which is now here, or my branch office, and let's scroll all the way down and produce some consumer goods. Because right at this moment I am buying 6 per month. I'll get rid of that, which will save me a bunch of energy credits in the long run. I have no idea what I just turned down there. It was from the Chor's Compass, I'm pretty sure. But I accidentally hit escape right as it popped up. So once that kicks in, my consumer goods will be back in the positive. Now another thing I can do, as you can see we have a food shortage. Let me fix this. If I decrease the job priority of my clerks, it will lower the amenities on my planet, but then it will also increase the food that I have. So if I give this a month, we will see.
Upscaling complete.
Yep, there we go. So now, as you can see, the population that I reassigned from clerks, which was giving us amenities, over to food, has boosted our food production, and we're no longer running in the negative. And then once this branch office here is finished constructing, we will no longer be running in the consumer goods negative. Just to bolster it for now, I'm going to buy some consumer goods from the market to make sure we don't run into a zero scenario. So looking at the research, we are 1 month away from getting destroyers, which I've been sort of holding out for.
Research actualized. I
didn't want to add to our... I might as well research this. Oh, no, it's not gonna... Let me hold out on that. Yeah, I didn't want to make any ships until I got the destroyers, because destroyers are going to be tougher. All right, these civilians fabricators will allow us to make consumer goods out of minerals. That would be a pretty good thing to research, as would Starhold. That upgrades our star bases a little bit, and Plasteel. There's a lot of really good choices here. I'm going to go with Plasteel, because I really do think I'm likely to be in a bunch of wars. All right, so now that we have the destroyers, let's go ahead and design some. I like the artillery bow, and I'm going to do the interceptor beam. So the larger the weapon, the longer the range. So if we install the same weapons here, this one has a range of 100, this one has a range of 50. This one obviously takes more power and all that. This one takes less. So the ideal is, at range, I'm hitting them with my kinetic weapons, depleting their shields, and then when I get closer, because they'll inevitably get closer, I'll be in range with my plasma throwers once their shields are already down. It doesn't really matter what slots you put these shields in. It really doesn't matter. And I have just enough power for afterburners, and we'll give this a name of, that's Conplar, Viplar, Oratex, I don't know, Nitrex. Nitrex is a weird name, but alright, Nitrix it is. Now we can build Nitrexes. Let me delete the base design. But they're going to be pretty costly compared to my Corvettes. My Corvettes are obviously going to be a lot cheaper. So one thing to think about is trying to up my alloy
Research actualized.
My alloy production. The way to do that would be an alloy foundry. Now, an alloy foundry is only really going to take effect on a planet that needs the jobs. So I'm going to replace my robotic assembly with an alloy foundry. I already have 2 robots on this planet. I don't really need any more. It's not that big of a deal, so we'll do with the foundry. And I'm going to research my cold fusion reactor. Pretty much all the research choices I've been making are militaristic ones. Because the game decided that I'm going to have a bunch of potentially mean and angry neighbors.
Outlier identified.
Alright, I'm going to spend pretty much every last cent I have just to crank out a few more destroyers. Doing a quick assessment of my planets. Oh, here's a new... Oh, some curators, which is very, very nice for me to find. And then also there's a fallen empire here that's not going to like me much because I'm a materialistic fool, and they are definitely not into that. Ooh, okay, so diamond in a rough. I am gonna gain a new scientist. Let's see what kind of scientist I get. I get a really, really, really nice scientist. Let's put him on... Ooh, okay. Specialization. Let's put him here. That's great. I love little anomalies like that. I could do map the stars. I have the influence. Let's do map the stars, try to find even more anomalies. Okay, so we have an extra job site here. We don't really have need of the jobs at the moment, though. But civilian industries wouldn't be a bad thing because we're still in the negatives for consumer goods. So I'll add civilian industries there when... Oh, right now. Sabtrack
Potential market survey completed.
is hit 10 population, but they have some unemployment. If I upgrade the planetary, the ship assembly to planetary administration, it's going to resolve most of their issues. So I'm going to plan on doing that. I'm trying to build up my infrastructure while I get ready for war. And it's a bit of a very careful balance, if I'm being honest. Because if you focus too much on war, you're not going to have the economy to support your war. And if you focus too much on your economy, you can get crushed in war. So, like I said, careful balance.
Potential market survey completed.
Alright, so once we get that planetary administration up, most of those issues there are going to be resolved. The lack of current deployment. And then the consumer goods that are in the negative will be fixed when the civilian industries goes. And I just formed a new faction. Led by my caretaker, which is odd. This is a xenophilic faction. I'm definitely not a xenophilic player, so I am going to suppress their faction in hopes that they go away. And I just had a governor die. Let's replace him with a researcher. I usually like research governors. And I had a scientist die. Yay, everybody's dying. Luckily, I had a backup scientist because I just got that new one. Although I suspect a bunch of my scientists are, let's say, on their last legs because they're getting older. All right, so we have more unemployment here. As you can see, the easy way for me to add employment and housing would just be to throw in a mining or energy district. So that's what I'm going to do maybe right now. These are sort of stopgap measures. Eventually you want to specialize more than that, but for right now, when I have a populace that needs some employment and love, we will satiate them. So if I check out my branch office, as you can see here, I am producing some energy credits and consumer goods. And we get another tradition. Let's see. Let's get the construction techniques. Make the building costs a little bit cheaper. And we just got planetary capital research. I think I'm going to research administrative cap. If we get that administrative cap research of 20, we will no longer be penalized for our empire size. Basically, we'll gain an extra 8% tech research speed and a bunch of other things. 13% tradition adoption cost, etc., which is good and exciting. And of course, I'm always keeping an eye on how many ships I can add.
Upscaling complete.
In fact, we just ran into one.
Upscaling complete.
I'm going to skip over this system. Let's manually path him to try to avoid these space amoebas that are hostile. So now Subtruck Prime has added their capital, and as you can see, unemployment and homelessness is fixed. Dorfil, we added a mining district, and jobs and housing is fixed for now. We can always do more. Now, what I would like to do in these places... Oh, and then, of course, the consumer goods. We, as you can see here, we added... where is it? Here it is. We added some workers that make consumer goods. Where was it? Why am I blanking? Right at Dram Prime. All right, so there's, yeah, artisans. These two artisans are now making a whole bunch of consumer goods, which is really cool. Which is why our consumer goods is really in the positive, and I can sell my consumer goods for some energy credits to be able to buy things I need to expand if I need to. So let's try to get higher stability on all of our planets. So commercial zones is kind of the cheap and easy way to do it. So I am going to buy more minerals and add commercial zones where I can. And what I'll do here is prioritize
upscaling complete.
Clerk jobs. Okay, I have enough clerk jobs. I just need to fill out the population. So I'm going to have commercial zones in all of my major cities. And we now have officially a 1K fleet. That doesn't mean much yet, but that means that most of our neighbors should be equivalent or inferior. I'm checking them now, and 2 are inferior, 1 is equivalent. We are definitely, as far as the space race is concerned, doing pretty well. And I'm still aiming to buy more alloys. Trying to get my numbers up. Now, I do have a fleet cap of 20, and that's not going up until I start making anchorage stations or employing soldiers. So I'm vitally aware that I have that cap looming over me that I'm about to hit. I already have one more station than I need. So what I can start to do here is replace these gun batteries that are not necessarily required with anchorage stations if I'd like. That might free up some space. Sabtrack, for instance, doesn't need 2 gun batteries. I think 1 gun battery would protect us well enough. No, maybe I need both. I need the 2
Upscaling complete.
Zone protection.
Upscaling complete.
Oh, another scientist died. Let's see. I guess the best scientist to fill in would be... What kind of science are we doing? We are doing this scientist. And then one of our science ships just lost its scientist, the one at Vrinn. So I'm going to move some people around, because Vrinn is obviously our science hub, so I want the highest level scientist doing assisting, and then the one at Sabtrack matters a lot less, probably not at all in fact, and we can put that scientist employed there for a little bit of min-maxing. Well, that's about all the time I have. So if you have any questions about any of the choices I made, just drop me a line, and I hope that you all tune in next time. Adios, everybody.